Welcome to the Unchecked Sports Pod, where we aren't verified public figures on social media, but we are obsessed sports fans with lots and lots of opinions. We are recording on Tuesday, September 24th from Denver, Colorado. My name is Jordan Redding, and I am here with my co-host, Austin Jarvis. Austin, tell us what happened in the world of sports this week.
Well, the underdogs are still ruling the world in the football universe.
It's crazy, man. There are so many just nuts storylines. Either the Baker ones, which not his best week. Broncos D holding firm.
I know. Go. I almost wore a Peyton Manning jersey in support of Texas.
Yeah. Peyton Manning didn't go to Texas though.
I know, but it was for Arch. For Arch, got the only Manning jersey that I have.
All right. That would have been. You're gonna have to support his NIL and get you a Texas jersey.
Right.
If you got an Arch one now, you'd at least have it for next year.
True. Yeah.
Where he'll be the starter. Yeah. So have it for a year and a half, and then you can wear that to. If he becomes a legend, if he becomes the best Manning, which so many people have been saying for so long, that'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
Pretty cool. Man, you're like 3 weeks into your college football fandom. How's it going? A good season for Texas.
It is, and
so far.
Texas.
Yeah.
They were talking so much about the guys that they were playing were like, oh, we played Arch in high school. He's not anything. Like, we ain't scared. Well, then he dropped 70-something passing yards, 2 touchdowns.
Put up a 50-piece chicken dinner.
Their running back, Blue, is cold.
Yeah.
He is someone.
I feel like Texas is kind of becoming like the running back.
I think they're the number 1 seed now. When I Googled Texas,
they're number 1?
It has them as number 1.
Dang.
So I don't know if that's true or not. But
there was a time, and this was when I was probably around your age watching college football, where there were 2 polls that existed, and then so someone could be number 1 in one poll in the BCS, but in the I think it was the AP was the other one. I think so long ago, but it was a nightmare. So you never knew. Like 1 year, technically, Colorado won a national championship, but it's like not recognized by college football because they're like, you weren't the national champions that year. Yeah.
Interesting.
It's crazy.
I had no idea.
Google the history of college football. It's just been the dumb leading the dumb for so long, and all that. The only thing that sustains it is just people's passion for football, and rooting for their alma maters or schools that are close to them or random colleges in a state that you haven't spent much time in, right?
I have only been to San Antonio.
But you've been there. Okay.
I have been. I have been there.
It would be bad if you I haven't been.
I have been to Texas.
I think I've been with you in the Houston airport. Like, where didn't we one Mexico trip?
Oh, I think
you might have landed in Houston as well. Just trying to give you more credibility.
Beautiful. Been in Texas twice.
Right? So clearly it makes sense that you're a fan with how much time you spent there.
Exactly.
Let's go through. Let's talk through this crazy week or this last week of football and just kind of everything that was unexpected and fun and all of the things. So let's start with Jets-Patriots on Thursday night.
It was his first time back in MetLife since his ACL tear.
Is that where he tore his ACL?
That is. He tore it in MetLife. So this is his re-debut.
Dang.
And
he looked good.
He looked great.
I'd love it if he threw it to Garrett Wilson a little more.
Well, so I did notice that some of the balls he was throwing to Wilson were just awful. Because Wilson was targeted a bunch.
Yeah.
And that late touchdown that he hit, it was Rodgers' 480th touchdown. That's a lot, right?
It's a lot.
That's the first ever touchdown he threw to a first round wide receiver.
That's so crazy.
That he's never thrown a touchdown to a first round wide receiver until he just threw this last one to Garrett Wilson.
Well, and I think that's why he eventually left Green Bay.
Oh yeah, because they never tried to give him offensive weapons.
With my wife being a diehard Packers fan, and I like the Packers and rooted for them, so would pay attention in the off seasons a lot. And it was always just defense, that they were always drafting defensive players, and it was just like at a certain point you were like, why not? And then one year they had a chance for Jonathan Taylor, and it was like, oh, get this running back, he's so good, and they took Jordan Love, and everyone was like, what? Like everyone was up in arms. I'm pretty sure it was Jonathan Taylor. But yeah, it was. So you can see why he left. Him and the coach, I don't know what their vibe is. Like, there's that weird. You see that, like, he went for a hug, and then he pushed him. Was like, I don't know what that was, but I mean, it might have been Rodgers. I didn't see it in context. I only saw that clip, and so it kind of seemed like it was like maybe Rodgers like pushing him off, and like maybe it was just like, yeah, fuck yeah, something.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of saw, because if you kind of read what Rodgers is saying, he's like, it's early. So I think he was trying to like calm him down a little bit, just because I don't know, the Patriots looked awful. So
Yeah.
I feel like Rodgers could have been hyped.
Yeah, and in a fantasy league, I played my wife, who you lost to in a different fantasy league last
She
week.
smoked me,
And I
absolutely
destroyed
smoked
her.
me.
I took it to her, and she started Ramondre. Got her 0.3. Like,
Yeah. I going back to, I tried to like avoid your wife that went in the shop at work. I didn't want to see her because I knew she was just gonna. I was like, she's gonna chew me out. She's gonna chew me out. And she saw me. First thing she said, "Oh, what a week! What a week!" Yeah,
Listen, as someone who has lost to her far more than I've beaten her, like, and she has multiple championships. I'm riding. Last year, after like, let's call it 15 years of fantasy football in multiple leagues, was my first championship ever. And so yeah, man, I've seen that look where she wants to beeline over to you and say what's up.
Oh yeah, I definitely got that one. And
Yeah.
then I played against somebody this week that had Ramondre and Hunter Henry, so 1.8 points each.
Oh man,
So that was
yeah,
I was thankful for that at least.
right. We have some visitors in here, but we're gonna keep powering through. So I will say with the Jets, I mean, Lazard, like, kind of seems
wide receiver too.
Yeah, it kind of seems legit. I mean, he is.
I mean, so does Culkin. Honestly,
Yeah.
he had like 93 receiving yards.
But can I be honest? Are we positive that this group of receivers is better than like Jalen Reed and the boys? And like, don't you feel like the Packers team with Rodgers is better than this Jets team with Rodgers? Like, I feel like it would be if they didn't have Jordan Love.
Yeah, because I'm like, dang, Breece Hall and
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson. But then I'm like, yeah, you do have a pretty good set around you in Green Bay, especially with Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That'd
Oh
be
man,
huge.
I mean, didn't have a great week this week.
Yeah, but
I
the
mean,
Titans, for some reason, have a great D-line,
Yeah.
which pisses me off because they're such an awful team.
Do you think it's just like they trained against Derrick Henry for so long that it was just like it made
it
them and like
has to
fortified
be.
them and built them up?
It
I don't
has
know.
to be because they always have a great run defense, and I'm like, why?
Yeah.
You guys are 0-8.
I know. I mean, they
why?
don't have a great offense, but yeah. So I mean, Jets, they beat Patriots
Smoked
pretty,
them.
24-3. So not much to say.
Yeah.
It was an ugly showing by the. It's kind of the showing I was expecting, but you
I-
made the call to Drake May make a little
He
appearance. in
He
the
did a
game?
little bit, and I am pretty. I was watching the end of the game, and I'm literally standing. You remember that clip of Eli or Peyton Manning just like going like timeout, 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 timeout. Like
Oh yeah.
I was that like at the end of the game. Like, why are you not letting Drake May have a chance to score?
Yeah.
Let him throw it in the end zone. Like,
Yeah.
give him an opportunity. It's over.
Yeah.
Like, give him his chance. This isn't good an opportunity as it is. Like,
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's a loss. I mean,
Exactly,
is
let
Jacoby Brissett your long-term plan? No, you drafted this
exactly.
guy.
So let him try and throw a touchdown at least.
Yeah.
And get some feel for the game a little bit, but they just let the clock run out, and I'm just like,
I would still keep Brissett as a starter.
Yeah.
Just because take the pressure off of Drake May. Like,
let him sit
don't-
just a little bit.
Let him sit. Let him learn. I mean, Brissett isn't, like the ultimate vet of all
Yeah.
time, but he's like a solid quarterback and has been good in multiple places. And so let him be the guy. And if you're getting beaten, put Drake May in.
Yeah.
Because then it's like no pressure, go in, and it can't get worse, right?
Just
You've
throw
already
the
lost.
ball,
Your
sling
fans aren't
it.
going to be furious if you throw an interception because it's like, well, we're down by 30. Like,
Exactly.
who cares?
Yeah.
That's what I would do. So, I mean, I hope they can start incorporating him.
I hope so.
Yeah, but I
He-
mean, actually, I don't. I want New England to be bad. I'm going to be completely honest
Well,
with you. I don't.
I think
ever want
I
them
think
to
I
be
want him
good.
to be incorporated so
Yeah.
they suck even worse. Cause
Between them and
he's
Celtics fans, like I've just had it up to here. I'm tired, and like my basketball, the Miami
done.
Heat, like
sick
and
of
the
it.
Celtics
Sick
have
of
a
it.
terrible rivalry, and I'm just like Boston
can
fans.
suck it.
They don't win graciously, and that's
No,
what
they
drives
do
me
not.
nuts. But they're all of their teams are good all the time.
All the
And so
time.
it's like, dang it.
It's same with
yeah.
California teams.
Yeah. So, so yeah, I'm okay with the Patriots. Like, let's give them 15 years of just real
Awful.
cool off time.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah, build a lot of team culture. All right, so going to
New
Sunday
York.
morning. Yeah, so Giants Browns.
Daniel Jones can play football?
Did Daniel Jones look better than Deshaun Watson?
Of course.
I felt like he did.
And I mean, Neighbors though
Neighbors is
is
he's
saving
special.
Daniel Jones' career.
Honestly, if Marvin Harrison Jr. hadn't had, like, he's had 2 really good weeks as well. If he hadn't, I would have. You're talking about, Neighbors being the guy potentially,
Yeah.
and he might still be the guy. But man, he's fun to watch.
He's so exciting
fun
to
to
watch.
watch.
And touchdown now. Like he's getting
I know.
he's getting it down, and it's crazy that Daniel Jones is kind of getting it down.
I think it's easing in. I think they don't have the run game that they once had. I also
Well,
think the
Singletary-
Browns are bad. You
The
know what I
Browns
mean?
are bad.
Amari's awesome. Like,
Yeah.
he plays great football.
Sometimes it's either in fantasy terms,
Yeah.
he either scores 5 points,
Yeah.
which is like 3 catches and 20-something yards,
Yeah.
or he scores 2 touchdowns and has 85-plus yards, which
I
is
think
30
the
points.
issue is for Deshaun, it's like you just got to try to
You
not
gotta let it
force
rip.
to him, but yeah, you got to. I mean, they do this thing, and especially like in the previous years when Chubb is healthy, it's like such a ground and pound that
Yeah, and Ford has been non-existent when
Yeah.
he's not bad.
he's all right.
He's exactly. He's
Yeah.
like not top tier, but he's not like last year when Chubb got hurt.
Yeah.
Ford came in, and I feel like he did pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised that Kareem Hunt wasn't also retained with how
Right,
well he did
and
last
going-
year. I thought that was
and
weird.
He went to KC.
I know, back. That's where
Yeah.
he was. How crazy that
What a
they
full
dropped
circle.
him. Yeah, for a very specific reason. And yeah, it's just crazy to have him back
I
because how he
know.
left was so tumultuous. But
Yeah.
but yeah. So I mean, the Browns, their offense still looked kind of rough.
Yeah,
No
and
Njoku for like underneath, but Jerry Jeudy hasn't really done much.
I know the first week he looked good, and
Yeah.
then after that it's kind of just
Yeah.
been like he's getting the targets, but I just don't think Deshaun is throwing the ball well enough.
No, I mean that's. But then there are some flashes where you're like, all right,
Yeah, you get the-
like
You see a 24-yard touchdown to Amari, and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
they might do fairly decent. And then it's 3 unanswered
Yep.
scores, and then it's just like, oh, you guys don't get down the field whatsoever.
yeah, a lot of punts.
Yeah,
In
lots
that game
of
in
punts.
general, I felt like there were a lot of punts.
Well, it's the Giants. What do you expect?
Yeah, exactly. All right, so going to a much lower score. I lost a bet on the score.
You went
Eagles
the over
Saints,
on that.
I went over. It was like 36 or something when I got to it. And I
Oh,
was
wow.
Like, I was like at 36. I was like, they're gonna score. And the
Yeah.
first quarter went, and that's when I bet on it because I was like, they're gonna have a resurgence in the second quarter. And
They didn't
what a
score
slog
until
of a
they
game.
didn't score until the
Yeah.
fourth quarter.
it was crazy.
I mean, Saquon didn't
yeah.
score. It was nothing else, but it was
yeah. So Eagles Saints. The Eagles ended up winning 15-12, and
the
yeah,
hot-
Kareem Hunt, not much. Derek Carr, not much. A lot of, I mean, the pass rush for both teams was looking really good.
Yeah,
don't know.
Kamara didn't do anything
Nope.
really. Rashid, geez, I don't even know. Shahid,
Shaheed, yeah, nothing, 0.
5 targets, no catches.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And Devontae, that hit.
Yeah,
How do we feel about that?
not too good.
I know.
Yeah.
He's going to be out a little bit too. And he's a little guy. Like a real little guy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that. Didn't they suspend that defensive player?
I don't know. I did. No, that was Derwin James that got
Oh,
suspended.
you're right. Yeah, no, it was. That's what they're trying to take out of football, and so I mean, it was sad.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
And I guess that's why Goddard got so much targets.
Yeah.
It was.
No one left. I mean,
Yeah, there's
yeah.
the Eagles have nobody.
It's crazy because it seemed like they had an embarrassment of riches, and honestly,
Yeah, they had
kudos
so
to
many-
Jalen Hurts for getting the win.
That
really
was it.
without
Was not
weapons.
even. It wasn't even Hurts.
Saquon.
It was
Yeah,
Saquon.
Saquon's a stud.
Saquon had 147 yards.
Yeah.
One of them was a 65-yard
That was
touchdown.
such a fun run. I mean,
And I feel like it kind of saw a little like glimpse of beast mode, just a little like.
he's
power
always
through.
been. I mean, his whole thing is like squats.
Yeah.
1,000 pounds. His legs are huge. and
Huge.
so that has always been his superpowers. That he not only was quick and fast and had good vision and all of that, but just power.
He's like a
Power,
mini,
but he's also
mini
like
Derrick
yeah,
Henry.
exactly. But he's short, which sometimes I feel like Derrick Henry's height
Is such an advantage.
or limiting. I mean, when
exactly.
you're that,
It's
there's
a
something
limited.
about-
It's an limiting advantage if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
if he can get because of his height, if he can lower his shoulder, his weight is going at an angle that is
Yeah.
terrifying.
Ugh.
But because he's easier to trip up because of that height, right? Like,
exactly, he can go.
having that lower
those-
center of gravity for Saquon.
Yeah,
is,
those bigger trees fall harder.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Saquon's been awesome. I mean, I think for me, I knew Saquon would be awesome. It's just
Yeah.
how long is he going to play? Like
Exactly.
That, for me, is if he plays the whole year into the playoffs and they do a run and all of that, then every hater shut up. Like,
yeah,
but
I mean, they got every ounce that they needed from it. Like,
yeah, that is the reason he didn't get paid by New
Exactly.
York, and it's a reason that I honestly support. I mean, I don't support the Daniel Jones thing, but getting off of that Jones contract would have cost them a ton of money.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, similar like to what
the Broncos.
yeah,
did.
Broncos and Russ, but I mean, and we'll get to that in a second,
Oof.
but wild stuff happening in Pittsburgh. But yeah,
Yeah, it
Eagles
is.
Saints low scoring. Both defenses look solid, but not the game I was expecting.
Yeah, that's not what I was expecting whatsoever. I thought the Eagles were gonna win. I'll be honest.
I thought Eagles were going to win too. It seemed like a game that they kind of needed to.
Yeah,
Like, they
and-
haven't had that dominant
Right,
win yet.
and on FanDuel they were underdogs. So I
Yeah.
was like, I threw a parlay together, and the next game we're gonna talk about just ruined everything, ruined multiple things.
Yeah, I mean Texans Vikings was
Just I don't. It honestly like infuriates me every time I see it because Nico and C.J. Stroud, like,
Yeah.
what is Stroud's problem right now?
I don't get it's a real like sophomore slump thing,
And that's what I.
you've seen it before with plenty
Yeah,
of
we
players,
have.
and like, and it honestly it was kind of a Darnold masterclass. Like Darnold
Yeah.
looked so
4
good.
touchdowns.
And just composure, and
Oh.
like he just I what I might be rooting for most in this season is like that type of story where Darnold like proves himself and is a starter, and they're like, hey JJ, we don't like you can ride the bench for like 3 years, kind of like
Yeah.
Jordan Love, and just
I
learn from this guy who is crushing right now.
crushing, and it makes me so happy to see him do so good
Yeah.
because I feel like he was drafted into like that Jets curse.
Yeah,
Like,
just turmoil. I
Yeah,
mean, how
but
many
young
quarterbacks have they completely ruined? I mean,
exactly. He just got ruined in New
Yeah.
York, and then you go to Carolina, which is already a hellhole.
Yeah, I mean they're
And then-
showing a track record, and we'll get to Carolina
Yeah,
in a
we
little
will.
bit, but yeah, they are like, what's the opposite of quarterback whisperer? Like, quarterback curse?
Yeah,
I don't
it's like the
know.
witchcraftery.
It's crazy. Like yeah. So I mean, it's cool to see, and he's kind of been like I've always
He's been a
considered him a
dog.
solid backup. Like if he comes in, it's like, all right, you're not gonna, you're not out. Like he
Yeah.
has a missile launcher for an arm.
Oh yeah,
He's quick. Like he let's see what he can do. And to see him finally like come to form, and it helps to have Jefferson, and he's getting
Right, out of all the
Addison
people
back here
have-
pretty soon. So
Yeah.
it's like I picked him up, and
I know I
a
dropped him
bunch
because
of
I
leagues.
was like, I'm sick of this. He was out. Like I wasn't sure if he was coming back. I'm like, I don't know if like that ankle injury was deeper than we originally
Who
thought.
dropped Addison?
Yeah, I was because I was the one that
in
dropped
the league
him.
we're in. Oh, I
Mhm.
picked him up. Don't
I
worry.
know you did.
He's
I-
sitting there. Well, I have
So,
Puka and Cooper Kupp out. I need a receiver.
I know you do, and so I just I love I love fantasy. I just
Yeah, fantasy's
I
so
love
fun.
sitting on. I literally sit on other people's teams. I'm like, is there a trade I can do?
You
Like-
trade so much. I never trade. Like I'll talk through it, but I don't know. I'm never in leagues that really like do trades. Now, where it's fun, the dynasty league that I'm in is fun because you can include draft picks in it, and and they matter. Like a first round pick, if you're a bad team, getting number 1 overall, like that's how I got Marvin Harrison
Yeah.
this year. Like it's fun. The downside of the dynasty league, at least that I'm in, is there is not a soul on the waiver wire because it's like you have your taxi squad, which is
Yeah.
for rookies. You have your IR, and there's like 4 spots on it, and so there is like not even a third string player on waivers. Like there's nobody.
See, that's gross.
It
and-
sucks. Whereas I saw Addison, I was like, I think I giggled. I don't know. I was like, yeah, I was so
You get excited.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Yeah, it was, but I mean, your team's looking pretty good.
I feel pretty good about my team. And last night, I literally had so much anxiety. Nadia, she felt my chest. I was like, "Do you feel how fast my heart's beating?" She goes, "Why?" And I was like, "This fantasy football game is gonna be I'm literally stressing so much over this fantasy game. You have no idea.
Ugh, man.
It was it came down to 4.5 points. The final drive.
Yeah.
Like if it wasn't, I don't know if it was any further apart, they probably would have just ran the ball out,
Right.
and I would have lost.
Yeah.
But Burrow put up 45 points in our league.
He's been interesting. We'll get to those other games,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean he looked good. And going to Vikings Texans, we've talked through it. It's 34-7, right? And so, I mean, and Texans, I feel like their touchdown was like kind of late, right?
Yeah, it was a Cam Akers touchdown, and
Yeah.
I thought Cam Akers was going to go off because who is on this Minnesota defense? Tell
Yeah.
me. No one.
Yeah.
Like, I thought
mean,
this Texans team was going to just pick them apart.
Their offense has struggled, though, honestly. Like, week 1, they looked solid.
They did.
Right?
And then week 2, you could see the problems, but you could see the problems in the other team as well.
Right.
Which is what made it easier for them to win.
Yeah.
And I think they just had less mistakes that outshined how inconsistent Anthony Richardson has been.
Yeah, I mean, and he's my QB1 in one league, and yeah, week 1 I was feeling really good, but I also was like, man, some of those throws seemed real lucky. Like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Well, completing only 9 passes
Yeah.
week 1, and so I'm in 4 fantasy leagues. It's gross.
that's too many. I'm in
And
3. I mean, but
One of the leagues that I'm in, this dude had Anthony Richardson, and I saw he dropped him, and I was like, I'm gonna snatch him, but he dropped him for Sam Darnold, and I'm like, that was a smart move. That was a smart move, honestly.
if the only time that you like kind of play through that is if you have a league that has keepers.
Yeah.
And you're like, I mean, I might have I'm in a league where you draft them at that position next year is where you keep them. So if I draft someone at
Okay.
17, if I draft Puka at 17, which I mean, the 17th round, if anyone did that like year 1 when he came out, you just get to keep him the next year at 17, and then it starts moving 2 years. So the year after that would be, or two draft spots. So the year after that would be 15th round, then 13th, and you walk it down. And then
Okay.
once you get within the 5th round, so if it's the 5th round or above, you can't keep him anymore.
Oh.
Kind of to add disparity to it, but it's really fun, and it makes you later in the draft. I'm sitting on Adonai Mitchell right now for the Colts,
Yeah.
being like, I don't know, he looked good in preseason.
Yeah.
So I don't know, you do crazy stuff, but yeah, Vikings,
Crazy stuff.
they look dominant. I mean,
Yeah, they did.
honestly, Aaron Jones was a prediction. He's similar to Saquon. Health is what is going to
He's
matter for
going
that.
off, and I can't believe it. I did not think
he
he was
always
gonna do
so
it.
good, and I don't know. I think when you give him, he's been good without elite wide receiver
Yeah.
play. He had a young Christian Watson, and they didn't have Jalen Reed when he was, or they did last year, but first year of Jalen Reed, and I don't know. He would score 30 in fantasy, but
Yeah.
then injuries. Same as Saquon.
They always get him
so-
towards the end of the year, like he pops off, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, like, oh, he's out with a quad.
But if
Oh,
you
it's gonna
didn't-
linger the rest of the year.
But if you didn't, there is a strategy that's like if you didn't put all your eggs in one basket, right? So if it's not Saquon in the first round in fantasy, but it's Aaron Jones in like the 3rd or 4th, or wherever
Yeah.
you get him, and he can help you get wins for 6 weeks and then goes out, it's kind of worth it.
It is,
like
yeah.
when you look at it, you're like, that puts me in playoff position that I wouldn't
That,
be in.
Exactly. That's kind of how I feel. And like
Yeah.
that's where I picked up Cam Akers thinking that he was gonna just walk all over him, and I also picked up Zach Charbonnet to
Oh man, yeah, Charbonnet.
Charbonnet. I thought I was waiting to see if Walker was gonna be out or not, and then I'm like, oh, that Miami defense might keep them in the game.
No.
And then he walked all over him.
Yeah.
And I dropped Cam Akers right away. I'm like, I'm sick of this Texas team right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's keep it. Yeah. I mean, they're the Texans are.
Gross right now.
They're just struggling. I think they'll have to figure it out. They'll need a come to Jesus moment
Yeah.
where they hopefully,
Get it together.
bond as a team or something.
Yeah.
I don't want to blame Stephon Diggs, but they seemed really good last year.
Right,
And then
and
they got
it-
Stephon Diggs, and now there's a lot of self-doubt in the quarterback. And I don't know. Maybe that's something. And then also Stephon Diggs left Buffalo, and they look incredible.
That's what I
which
was
we'll
just
talk
getting
about
to
in a
say
sec.
too. Yeah. Well, the Broncos, man.
Woo! How about them boys? Yeah.
Bo Nix still hasn't thrown a touchdown, but he looks pretty good.
You are such a Bo Nix hater, and I have defended him, and I feel very validated. Obviously, the quarterback play needed to be better, and it was better. He is capable of doing that, and I think with his legs as well.
Yeah.
It helps open up that offense a little bit. His pocket presence was incredible. I mean, obviously
Yeah, I
that
felt like this week was better.
it was really good. I mean, both of the teams that I root for had a very good week, and I'll get to the Packers here next. But yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing for me was that defense shutting down that Bucs offense. I mean, it was all from the pass rush. It came from the line.
The safeties and the corners did great. I'll be honest. I thought
Justin Simmons Broncos
hey,
man, their secondary is so good. I love Justin Simmons.
I love Justin Simmons.
I know he's on Atlanta, I think.
Yeah,
but
I thought Mike Evans was gonna eat. If I'm
me
honest.
too. I didn't think Surtain was big enough.
I didn't think so
cover
either.
him. I was like,
so I thought he was gonna not get past him per se, but that secondary was just not gonna hold him.
Yeah.
And then that pass that they intercepted,
yeah,
that would have been a touchdown.
Yeah.
For Mike Evans.
Yeah. I mean, the defense was playing
great,
incredible. I mean,
they set up Bo Nix in a way where he couldn't fail, almost.
Yeah, but then also there were a few times where it was like, Bo, you need to put a drive together and take some time off, and he would do it, and it was awesome. So I mean, it's where with these rookie quarterbacks, they're learning through failure in a lot of ways, and outside of Caleb Williams, who I just hope fails, I just don't like him as a human. Outside of him, I want all these guys to do well and to figure it out, and I feel like in general the quarterback play has been relatively poor in the NFL this year so far.
I can't wait to talk about the Commanders game.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah,
I know.
Jaden. Yeah, he looked legit. I mean, 92% or something like that.
Yeah,
passer.
That's the highest rookie passer rating ever.
Crazy. All right. So Broncos 26.
Run game still is non-existent though. That's what I'm noticing is we still whoever this Batty running back is, we picked up T Batty.
Okay.
Had 90 yards or something.
Yeah, he was doing good.
I'm like, who is that? Never heard. I knew we picked up someone because we lost a couple, but
yeah,
we had a lot of people running the ball. A lot of different people.
Yeah, I mean, 26-7 Broncos.
I'm happy
so I mean,
about it.
Yeah, definitely makes sense to. I mean, I don't think they have a dominant number one in the backfield.
Not at all.
Williams used to look like he was going to be that, but
and then I think his injury kind of really messed it up.
I think he's lost a step. They're still doing a good job getting him. All of the running backs are catching passes, which for a young quarterback is huge. And you just can't do it all the time. And that's where Sean Payton, I feel like in the beginning, it was only dump down passes, and it's like, all right, man. It's like 3rd and 6. You don't need to throw a 2-yard out to your tight end when he's covered. He never is going to get that first down. What are we doing? I get that you get a completion, but I mean, come on.
No, I 100%. There's some iffy play calls, but it looked great this week. It's nice that we put it together against a team that looked like a contender.
Yeah, I mean, in that to the Bucs' credit, I mean, and off weeks happen. And,
they do.
I think. I mean, gamblers were.
I was
going to
say when you're
96%
of what people are gambling on.
Well, and I took Broncos plus money and did a decent. I mean, I think I put $10-15 on it because I was like Broncos. It had them I think they were plus 13.5 or something crazy on the Bucs going in, and I was like, oh, I'll take that. We'll see. And I mean, that turned out pretty well.
Nice.
Turned out pretty well. And it's just nice to have a glimpse of hope, and I just feel like the vibe in Denver is always so much better.
When we win, yeah.
I mean, during the Peyton Manning era, I was
so great.
Yeah, and I was bartending at the time. So after a Broncos loss, people would be a little grumpier, and then a win, it was they tip a little better. The vibe.
Everyone's just so excited.
They don't, and Denver is very much a Broncos first, huge gap. Then maybe Nuggets.
Yeah.
Maybe Avs, Nuggets. I mean, they both have pretty big followings, but
yeah, I think so.
Broncos are the team out here.
Yeah,
for sure.
we were football. Football state for sure.
Yeah, we're not. When the Mammoth lacrosse team loses, there's not quite the same impact. But yeah, so sunny, beautiful day in Denver, and just excited to have had our first win, Bo Nix's first win. And
that game was in Tampa too. It was raining over here.
Yeah, I know. It was terrible weather.
Yeah,
here.
It was awful.
Yeah.
That Buffalo's game. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Shador game tying touchdown.
It was wild. Yeah.
Yeah. In the rain.
I didn't watch the game.
I didn't watch it either. I was in
Steamboat,
but
dang. Yeah, I mean I think Travis Hunter has a good shot at being first overall pick.
He said he wants to play for the Broncos Do you know that?
I mean, that would
He
rule,
said
but
that he said
do you think other
obviously-
teams are going to be like, we're not going to draft you?
No,
Is he
because
gonna
he
Eli
said
Manning his way, you think?
no, he said he would play for anyone. He said he'd be grateful, but he's like, I really want to play for them, and then like pointing to the Broncos
All
logo.
right, so maybe after first contract, you make your way to Denver, and
Yeah.
and
I love it.
We'll figure it out. All right, so the other team that I root for,
Yeah, swinging into your Packers.
Malik, the freak, like absolutely.
What is going on?
He was awesome. And
Jordan Love, who?
Yeah, I kind of right. Like I know that it's Jordan Love's, it's his spot, but having I don't know. I just feel like I had
Keeping
watched,
them in playoff contention is what is the most important thing, and that's
Yeah.
gonna keep Malik on this team.
Well, and Malik in college at Liberty, he was incredible.
good,
and would
yeah.
do awesome stuff. I mean, and that's why he was drafted. When
Yeah.
Liberty players don't get drafted, and
They don't.
Yeah, and so it was very cool to see. And I mean, just his pocket presence was great.
Yeah.
He looked like
He's running the ball
seasoned
great
vet.
too. Yeah,
He's quick.
a
and he
rushing
runs-
touchdown,
yeah.
a passing touchdown, some bombs. Just
He's throwing his body out there a little bit too much.
Yeah.
And he's more muscular than like Bryce Young or like Jaden or one of those guys. But you want to see him start to slide a little more. But man, when he puts his shoulder down, he's
a big
laying
boy.
hits on people.
Yeah.
Man. Like, gosh, it was fun. So yeah, Packers over the Titans 30-14.
Josh Jacobs was non-existent. And
He didn't
like
do much.
It's
No,
like I
man.
said, they have for some reason they have such a good run defense for
Yeah.
no reason, like literally no reason whatsoever, and like it makes sense, like you said. That I mean, having to go against Henry for all those years, but
Yeah.
they still suck.
Like it makes sense why the Packers defense would be good because every year their first 2 draft picks are 2 Georgia defensive players.
Exactly,
Like
yeah.
every single, like the last 3 years, I feel like that's what they've done.
Yeah,
And so I mean, you get why their defense is good, but yeah, I couldn't name a Titans defensive player.
I can only
you know?
name one, and it's Jeffrey Simmons,
Okay.
and it's a defensive lineman, ironically. But besides that, I mean, one person should not stop someone from getting over 20 plus yards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's
It
insane.
was crazy. And I mean, Jacobs has had a good year so far.
He
and
has.
ups and downs, and
And that's how it goes always. So
I think they stack the box a little more with a rookie quarterback, so it
Yeah.
makes running harder because they know that they're going to lean on the inside rush. And if you can get 4 yards on first down, that's such a different situation than being at 2nd and 10.
Yeah.
2nd and 6 is way better. And so I do feel like they were not babying Malik at all, but they were trying to do those dives on first down for a couple yards, and it just wasn't working. And then, I mean, luckily they were able to figure out a game plan that did work and open up the defense. And he looked
and
good.
Alexander had a pick 6 too, so that helps them as well.
I think that's the biggest thing right now. I mean, obviously Will Levis is a turnover machine.
Oh my
and,
goodness,
I
he's
mean,
just a walking.
old
meme.
mayonnaise coffee is like.
Did you see the
he's-
picture of him getting like he fumbled the ball and the Packers dude is like on top of him, like crotch on his helmet, pushing him into the ground, diving for the
No.
ball.
Oh man, no.
Yeah, I'll have to
Um,
find that and show you.
He was Levis.
It's a walking joke right now.
I don't know. I mean, you gotta hope that I want him to figure it out. I
Right?
don't mind Tennessee.
Come
being
on,
good. They're
mayonnaise
not a team that I
coffee.
hate. Yeah, I know. It's just like he shows flashes of being pretty good, but then
Right?
yeah,
It's
Um,
there and then it's not. It disappears pretty quick.
it's just funny having seen those 2 players that they let Malik Willis go, and that I mean,
Right.
I in my dynasty league because I have had family that have gone to Liberty. Like I pay attention to that program a little bit if they're doing well or worth like they have a player worth watching.
Yeah.
It's like like same thing with like Zach Edey last year in college
Yep.
basketball. I have a cousin who. Her family is like all Purdue'd up, and so I was like, yeah, let's root
Yeah.
for Edey. That's how I felt about Malik Willis, and he looked good all in college.
He
and
did.
Then he was in Tennessee and kind of floundering. Even in his preseason games, wasn't great.
no.
And so I'm glad he's under good coaching. I obviously, as a Packers fan, I mean, Jalen Reed is lightning on
Yeah,
like in
he's-
cleats. Like, oh, it's so fun.
He's so fun.
Yeah.
It's that I was worried about how those receivers were gonna do, and I mean, Watson. He only had like 2 catches, but it was for like 63 yards.
Yeah. I mean, Watson still hasn't popped the way
He
I
hasn't.
thought he would. Like when you think of him as he's like 6'4" or 6'5" and runs a 4.3, and is like, I mean, he's so athletic that I thought he would be so much more dominant. I think he can grow into that. We have a visitor. If you hear any clanking, it's a dog. But this is why we will not be recording from here anymore. Going to a new studio next week. But yeah, I mean, I would love to have seen Watson, be able to put together a more complete game. He did in that first year. Those 2 seasons ago, towards the end, he had multiple 3-touchdown games.
Yeah.
And it looked incredible. And that's what not 3 touchdowns, but I expect him to be more dominant. And so, hope to see it. But Jalen Reed looks incredible. I feel like that receiver core in general, it's not a bunch of superstars, but it's a bunch of really solid guys like Wicks, Dobbs, all of them. So I'm a fan, and there's a lot of high hope in Denver, and I think in Green Bay as well. With Jordan Love being out, I think people are feeling a little better about what might happen.
And he almost was, and it looked like he's close to coming back. He was practicing.
Yeah. Oh, I think. Yeah. I mean, he's not on IR, so
yeah,
unlike Tua, unlike Christian McCaffrey, unlike
he's going in Germany to take care of his tendonitis.
Crazy. So I mean, at least he's not going to Mexico for I don't know, stem cell
cheapest
injections.
way.
I mean, or just the least regulated way. Let's call it that. But yeah, all right. So speaking of young quarterbacks, Anthony Richardson and the Colts took on the Bears. Caleb Williams and the Bears. Colts won 21-16.
It was the JT show.
Yeah, he was looking good.
110 yards on the ground, not including what he caught through the air.
Yeah,
2 touchdowns. And
I think that's how that offense, honestly, I think someone like Anthony Richardson, similar to a very young Lamar Jackson, right? Physical abilities out off the charts, right?
Yeah.
And so I think what you do are read options with Jonathan Taylor. I think the issue has been the offensive line, truthfully. And then Taylor last year was out for a while and then holding out the whole thing. Remember that last year when he was like,
I'm not going to play.
I'm not playing. And so I would love to see that. And then from that, you go into some bootlegs where you throw to a tight end, short, 5-7 yard passes, stuff like that. And then obviously as the safeties start coming in to help with the run, that's when you go deep. And that's what I would like to see. They're trying to run it like he's Tom Brady and is reading the defense. It's
he's not.
Man, I watched every game he started at University of Florida. That is not
Anthony Richardson's vibe.
When it looks like he's going to get sacked, he'll do something miraculous. And that's the fun part of Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
If you think he's going to sit out there and analyze the defense and pick it apart like that, in my experience in watching him, that is not his game. And so
that's not going to happen in this world, buddy. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But
at least not yet. Maybe as he gets older, he, understands the game more. I think he has a good head on his shoulders.
Yeah.
But suffice it to say, I think leaning on Jonathan Taylor as the cornerstone of that offense is brilliant. It's the right way to do it, and it's good to see Taylor too. This is kind of his first good week, right? Or has he been?
No, he's been pretty decent. For the most part. I think he didn't score last week, but he got in week 1. So
just like with the Broncos, it's little dump passes to him, it's little things like that, and also getting him in space. He's electric when he runs.
He is.
And so I would put him on par with a Saquon. Once he gets the ball in his hands, he's a little bit quicker and shiftier, I feel like, than Saquon. Saquon's more, legs that will run over your soul. But the big takeaway for me on this, and again, I'm a Caleb Williams hater, and it's not that I don't think he could be a good player. It's that I don't like him as a person. Every interview, he says something like, it's when C.J. Stroud tried to give him advice.
Who said I needed advice?
Yeah, and I don't know exactly what he said, but just his vibe. I've watched the ending of that game, and I don't know. He's just a guy that I don't care for. I watched Hard Knocks with him. I didn't like him on Hard Knocks. I thought it was weird that he said he's never been nervous in his life, and then I clearly have watched him multiple times look really nervous.
Yeah.
And so I just don't. He seems like a bullshitter to me, man.
Yeah.
And I don't like it.
And the way their O-line's running, he has to be nervous when he's running for his life.
Yeah.
Did you see how many times that they were just getting chased?
Yeah.
That the O-line is non-existent.
But also, I will never understand, and I get it. that if the O-line is Swiss cheese, what they're going to do is like a zone underneath, and they're going to step up with safety high coverage in order to, hopefully get an interception if you try to throw it short, right? Like if your offensive line is bad, they anticipate you to throw short passes, and that makes it more difficult. But like with the wide receiver talent that they have, I mean, including Adunze, DJ Moore, which he's good, right?
DJ Moore, yeah.
Okay, yeah, he was down for a second, but and then Keenan Allen, it's like you just think you'd see a little more.
Yeah,
even if it's quick wide receiver outs, like throw it to the corner. If you have the number 1 overall generational pick, which we'll talk about generational picks here in a minute. Looking at you, Trevor Lawrence.
Lawrence
dropped him, but yeah, I mean, I didn't think Caleb Williams looked good in his passing.
Yeah, he's not.
No.
It's not there. I know rookies are supposed to be like,
Yeah.
oh, it's okay when they throw interceptions, but he's just a turnover machine.
He is. It's crazy. I
mean,
mean,
he just threw his first touchdown this week, and I mean, good for him. But I mean, all right, you have 6 more to go until you balance out your interceptions.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think he's just, I don't know. There have been a lot of first overall picks that, I mean, and maybe not even first overall, top 10 picks that haven't panned out. I mean, you got to think of Zach Wilson, of
Trey Lance,
Mitch Trubisky,
Oof.
A lot of people taken high that don't live up to it. And I don't know. I mean, I don't want Caleb Williams to be bad. I have to admit, I don't care for who he chooses to present him, or how he chooses to present himself to the media and everyone, because he just seems like an arrogant dick. And then when you're bad, like, it's like you're like, you can't be like that and then be bad.
Yeah,
like,
it
just is like, yeah.
You need to at least get a win. Like, you shouldn't have lost. I mean, I get you won against Tennessee.
Right.
But that wasn't you.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
It's like when Josh Rosen came out, who also kind of seemed like a D-bag.
Oh, yeah.
Who was like, I'm going to make those teams so sick, which, of course, is what you're going to say, right? When you're a quarterback, you thought you were going to be a top 10 pick, you fell, or even a top 3 pick, you fell and all of that. But, like, you could also, there is a world where you could say, like, I'm going to put my head down and I'm going to prove that I'm the best by outworking everyone.
Exactly.
And I'm going to, there's, like, not going to be a moment where I am not doing everything in my power to get better. Like, that's what you want to say, not like,
not be this cocky one, like, oh.
And then not be good. Like, that's
exactly.
the issue.
Suck
it's like,
out the
if you
gates.
say that, you need to Lamar Jackson,
Yeah.
through a season and just be like show-stopping plays.
Like, I'm
then,
the MVP.
Yeah, then it's cool. But
Yeah.
if you try to call a home run and then you don't hit a home run, you hit you hit a pop
strike
fly
out.
and you're out. Yeah, you strike out like that. It's less cool.
Exactly.
So yeah, best of luck to that Bears team, because I mean, I'm just gonna say it. I feel like they'd be better with Fields. Had they taken Marvin
like
Harrison
I said,
Jr.
trade,
number 1 overall, instead
trade
of
the
Doomsday?
farm,
Yep.
and that's it. See, trade for the farm
Yep.
and take Marvin Harrison, the number 1 or whatever, but build around Fields. That's what I said that throughout the whole offseason.
Or even trade it back, since everyone loved Caleb Williams. You trade that first overall pick back, get the best offensive lineman, best defensive player,
they still had
first and 3 seconds.
What they could have done is traded for the farm, traded away the first pick, taken someone's farm, and then still keeping it within the first 2 or 3 picks. So you still get Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
But you still have that 8th pick too. So that's when you could still, do you want to pick a Dunze?
Right.
Or because you just picked a wide receiver, do you pick up that offensive lineman type guy?
Yeah.
So, or do you trade that 8th pick on top of it to go back even further? It's just like how
It's tough. Yeah.
there was so many things they could have done, and they could have been so much better.
Well, we are going to have to very, very rapidly speed up how we're covering this, because I am a little short on time today. But let's go to so Colts beat the Bears. Both teams' offense is struggling, but we'll see what happens. Steelers beat the Chargers 20-10.
Their defense hasn't allowed more than 10 points all season.
Their defense looks great.
Great.
I feel like Fields is looking solid.
Yeah, he's
not
throwing
incredible.
the ball. Yeah, I would say he's not he's not a gem right now.
Yeah.
But he's starting to find that clear patch in the rough.
Yeah, I think so. I think he looks good. I mean, I think Justin Herbert, obviously playing injured.
Yeah.
it impacted him, and he has no wide receivers. I mean, Quentin Johnson, if he's your number
Who?
one, yeah. I had my moment of bragging last week when he was
Scored 2 touchdowns.
yeah,
for
he was looking good and like just looking involved. And I don't think he had a terrible week, but yeah,
Yeah, I
still
mean,
not
that Chargers offense is non-existent.
It's rough, and Harbaugh's out there in the street saying he loves he's never been in love with anyone more than Justin Herbert, and I love it. I feel like he is a quarterback whisperer because he builds them up, and
Yeah.
I think
Just get him someone to throw to.
yeah, but this is year one, and yes, they lost a bunch of people, but they also it's time to put some irons in the fire. And
yeah.
get some.
You got to build some.
It just seems like they might have missed on last year's first round pick with Quentin. I don't
Yeah,
know that
I
he
think
looks
so.
dominant. Like when you see a Malik Neighbors come in, when you
Oof.
see, I will say, everyone said last year's like rookie class of wide receivers was supposed to be one of the best ever. I feel like this year's rookie class is looking better already between Neighbors and Harrison.
I would say
just
those two are
yeah.
the only look great. I mean,
Adunze
Worthy.
hasn't done anything,
Yeah,
but it's
Adunze did great
quarterback
this
play.
last one,
Yeah.
but exactly
Yeah.
quarterback play, and then Worthy had one good game. So
Yeah, I know. I still have him in a league that I'm in, and I'm hoping for the best.
I know, I'm
because I took him
debating-
in the 17th round. So if he's good, I can keep him for like 10 years. And that's
see,
what I
yeah,
want.
that's nice.
That's what I want. All right, so Dolphins, Seahawks, not a surprise without Tua, and Tua being placed on IR, which we talked about
Yeah,
last
he's-
week. And I thought if he could pass concussion protocol, he was good. I guess it was that bad. That
Yeah, they gotta giving him some time. Maybe it was just to make sure that he's okay.
I hope so, or even like give him time to think about what he's doing. He
Yeah.
immediately was like, "I'm not going to retire," and it's like,
Maybe
take a
just
beat.
take a second.
Take a beat, bro. Just take a beat. And yeah, so the Seahawks, I mean, they beat them pretty handedly.
DK. I mean,
Some good catches.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, we have an attacker again. This is-
Gina.
these
Uh,
dogs.
Gino got absolutely.
Go, bud. Get out.
He was just a missile.
Yeah.
Threw in a 71-yarder to DK.
He's always had a good arm. I mean, I
Well,
think-
yeah, and I mean,
yeah.
it's nice that DK actually is getting some throws.
Yeah, DK has always seemed to me like just underused talent, but
Yeah.
then he never leaves Seattle.
I know,
Like-
and he chose to stay there. I'm like, what
Yeah.
are you doing, dude?
It's like, dude, you don't want to go with like a fun quarterback who
Yeah,
can just
go play
throw you
somewhere.
bombs. Like you don't want to go play with like Lamar in Baltimore
Patrick
or
Mahomes, even.
Josh Allen. Like
Like,
yeah,
there's so many
some-
teams that need wide receivers that would have paid you in
It
reality.
It seems weird, but maybe he loves Seattle. Maybe he loves that team, or maybe they paid him the most money. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Seahawks won 24-3. It wasn't a good contest at all.
Andy Dalton show.
Yeah. So getting to Panthers Raiders, the Panthers win 36-22.
Holy, like
Andy
what?
Dalton came in. Everyone said Bryce Young is struggling because he doesn't have the weapons. He doesn't have, there's just not the talent on that team. Andy Dalton, who's by many people's standards, towards the end
Mid-tier,
of his
yeah.
road, middle of never an MVP,
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
decent with the Bengals.
Yeah.
Like he was kept him as contenders.
never
but-
won a Super Bowl, so
Yeah.
it's not like a Joe Flacco, even though he's younger than Flacco. But I mean, it's not that. But Dalton comes in and just
shreds
I
them apart.
mean, just shred. All of a sudden, everyone's scrambling to like pick up like Adam Thielen and stuff.
Right.
like-
Well, Thielen got hurt.
I know. It's a bummer.
But Deontay Johnson. is
Johnson
so-
looked good.
Yeah.
I always felt like he was good in Pittsburgh.
right?
Yeah,
I
And
thought so too, and I'm just like it was always quarterback play
Yeah.
over there, and then you went to a team that has even worse quarterback play, and I was like, wow.
it's
But
insane.
Andy Dalton showing out.
Yeah, I mean he absolutely shred, and looked really good, and it paints a very bad picture for Bryce Young.
Yeah, which sucks because I'm
yeah.
like, maybe it was just the Panthers' fault.
So to recap, yeah, Andy Dalton. I mean, it is so bad for Bryce Young right now. I don't know what they gave up for him. It's like every week we somehow see or every maybe month or two we somehow see a trade or something getting worse. It was the Russell
Right.
Wilson trade. It was like the worst trade in NFL history. Then Deshaun Watson, worst trade, like worst contract, and maybe that one's still the worst. The Bryce Young
that's pretty
one.
rough.
I mean, seeing what DJ Moore has been.
that haul was so much.
Yeah, seeing, and they still have to convey a second rounder. So it was 2
Yeah.
firsts, 2 seconds, and DJ Moore to get Bryce Young.
Just to bench him in his second year.
But there is something to be said about if they do bench him. I mean, is he salvageable? Is it a, hey, you were the starter. Let's give you some time to just really learn
I
behind
think
Andy.
so.
Is that so bad? Like, yes, his pride is going to take a huge hit, and like, sorry, man, but also you were terrible. So
yeah, you did not do good.
No, you.
I
It's not that they just like didn't like you. It's that it is. I mean, yeah, it was ridiculous.
It was
so.
I mean, the only person you can blame, unfortunately, is yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, he knows he has to play better, and the only thing you could do is you have to grow confidence. You
Yeah.
can't be so scared.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the right way to put it. Like, he played really scared, and having watched him in college, he was a killer.
Yeah,
I
he was.
mean, and maybe it really is that Alabama just had such better teams, and that's what it was. And like, they had such better talent than their competition that he looked
He
so
looked
much
better than he
better.
really was.
But I mean, I feel like Tua, has looked really good. I feel like there's
I
been
think so. There's good quarterbacks.
Jalen Hurts, who was there for a while, has looked really
Yeah.
good. I mean, so it's not. I don't know that I would call it. It just seems like Carolina is incapable of developing young talent.
Yeah.
So I think that's all you need to say. But I mean, the Raiders didn't look awful. I think
they
did
sat
Minshew get benched?
Yeah,
it was
they
kind of
benched
a rough
him.
game. But he's had good games. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of the Minshew experience. And
Yeah, he's always up and down.
yeah. Okay. All right. So quickly to recap the last, we only have a few minutes left. 49ers Rams. The Rams came back. Final drive of the game
Yeah,
to beat them.
What did I say? The Niners.
I had money on the Rams. They're both teams without a lot of their weapons.
are.
That still played good. It was 24-27.
Yeah, it's a good game.
And again, we saw a healthy, well, not a healthy Eagles, but a healthy Saints team put up 12. And so I was just happy with the injuries, we saw some touchdowns at least.
Yeah, Kyron had 3 of them.
I know, he looked good.
He looked
He
real
looked
good.
real good. I still lost because of other inadequate players this week, but but it was actually closer than I thought. And I had some points I left on my bench, but
It's always the worst.
yeah.
It makes you like it eats your soul sometimes.
Yep. But yeah, the Rams came back and won. It was a fun game, throwing to Tutu Atwell.
I would say, yeah, it was a Jawan Jennings
Yeah.
and Kyron Williams show.
Yeah.
Because Kyron had 3 touchdowns.
It's crazy. Yeah. So Lions Cardinals. I feel like the Cardinals tried to mount a comeback. It wasn't.
So how do you
Kyler's
feel?
best
Yeah,
game.
he's not looking so hot this game.
I think ups and downs, and I think the Lions have a pretty good defense, and so
and Marvin Harrison getting in zone.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge.
Healy's got it. I mean, you want to see him more involved. Like they're still not getting as many looks, but that's all right. I mean, they can figure that out.
It will
and
come with time, but
Yeah.
I mean,
talent's there.
it
So
is.
that's
It is
good.
there, and that's
Yeah.
what's good. The potential, the talent, it's playing together almost
Right.
so very nicely.
Yeah. So yeah, Lions took that one. So they're putting together a pretty good campaign so far in the NFC North, and so
Well, this is I think that's their first win, isn't it?
were they? Oh, they were 0-2 going into
Yeah,
that
I
game.
think
You're
so.
right. I didn't even think about that.
I think that's their first win of the season.
Dang. So I mean, I guess the
Jeez.
first step back on
Yeah.
the right path. I feel like Amon-Ra was more involved. I
He
feel
was. He
like,
scored a
yeah,
touchdown.
I know. He
Makes me happy.
yeah.
I have him in my keeper league.
Laporta carded
He got
out.
hurt,
That's
yeah.
no good.
And I
so-
offered somebody a trade. I was like, "Oh, you have Laporta, Dalton Schultz."
There you go. Yeah. So we'll see what's going on with the Lions if they can put it together. Cardinals, I think, are also 1-2 now, right?
Yep.
So looked really good. So yeah, try
We'll
to
see.
figure it out.
The
Ravens,
Ravens.
Cowboys. I'm happy the
Cowboys
Ravens
look
got their
gross.
first win. I put a lot of money on the Ravens, so I was excited to see them get the win. High scoring, but like kind of garbage time a little
Yeah.
bit for the Cowboys. So I don't want to read too much into it. Dak, I mean, scored a bunch of points in fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, he had 371 yards
Yeah.
passing.
Yeah.
But none of them to CD.
None of them. To CD,
None of them to
much,
CD.
Much to my chagrin, but that's all right. That's all right. I still won in that league, and so that's,
Good,
sometimes it's nice when because Derrick Henry decided to like play
Have
football.
170, yeah,
Henry
157
looked
yards.
good, man.
Yeah.
That's the Derrick Henry that I thought was going to be there.
Just
Now, what I did not calculate in, my keeper from the 11th round from last year was Zay Flowers, and like I feel like
Ooh.
Zay Flowers is diminished if Henry does well. I want to see a game where they like the whole offense eats, but
Yeah, because
I
we
don't
haven't
know.
seen that yet. We've only seen one section eats.
right.
It's only one or the other. It's never
Lamar's
been
been
a
pretty
full.
consistently
He has
good.
been, but it's he's
yeah.
so inaccurate, and
Yeah.
it was shown in
Yes.
game 1 against the Chiefs.
Yes.
Zay Flowers sitting there with, I mean, so much space for activities.
Yeah. I mean, and yep. I mean, it's been Lamar's knock the whole time. He's still so electric that
He
you,
is,
I mean,
that you love
gotta
him.
have him. Yeah, you gotta have him. So yeah, I mean, I think the Ravens are gonna put together a good year. I see them winning the AFC. It's AFC North, right?
Yeah.
I see them winning it. I think I had them. Right? I think I had them.
I think so.
We need to like post it somewhere so I remember what I've said.
Right.
Because I spout a lot of BS. All right, Chiefs Falcons, kind of a boring game, honestly.
It was, I went out with some buddies to go get some wings, and I was like, this is kind of like, this is a good, like, it's nice that it's close, but I mean, can we have a better offensive,
Right.
like, trials?
Right.
Like, Bijan with 23 rushing yards is insane. Doesn't make me the happiest.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been the biggest Bijan guy. I mean, he's incredibly talented.
He
It's
is.
just to me, that offense was built for passing. I feel like with Drake.
Is it with Pitts?
I mean, they're not passing to him, but again, with all of the Anthony Richardson-ness that I saw, I also watched every one of Kyle Pitts' college games, and like
and throwing
he was
the ball.
so good.
Throwing
He
the
was
ball.
mossing everybody in the SEC, playing against the same cornerbacks he's playing against now. He was like, they could not stop him. He was an unstoppable force.
Just throwing the ball.
And it's really frustrating to see like how they're using him. And like every now and then they're like, well, here's a 5-yard hook. And it's like, cool, all right, yeah.
That 50-yard bomb was nice.
Yeah.
Like, finally, you did something.
Just do that. And when you're in the red zone, it's like, all due respect
Throw
to
it
Bijan,
up.
he's good. Just throw it up to your red zone scoring machine. That is
Well,
what the Gators did.
You saw that one with Cousins threw it down on it could have been the game-winning touchdown,
Right.
but he threw it down at the helmet instead of, if you put it up here,
Yeah.
that's a touchdown.
Yeah. It's so easy. It's almost like when Tim Tebow came into the league,
Yep.
and it took the Broncos a little bit to be like, this jump pass thing that he did in Florida, like that worked. Do that with Pitts. Pitts, throw him the ball. He will go get it. He is
Yes,
a
he
machine
will.
at that. All right, let's go to Jags Bills. The Jags
Boring.
are awful. The Bills look so good.
They're
I don't know
crazy.
if it's that
4
they're
touchdowns
playing-
at the first half.
I don't know if they're playing bad teams. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's the case, but like,
Well, Jacksonville should have been good.
They should have been good. Like I felt like their offense got better, but Trevor Lawrence got worse. Yeah. What?
I don't know how
He's
it
so
works,
bad.
but yeah, he's
so
not
bad.
good.
Like I've dropped him. I mean, I replaced him with Kirk Cousins actually.
Wow.
Like in the league that I'm
Kurt Cobain.
Yeah, as my third option at quarterback, because this is one where you can
Yeah,
you
the
have
dual.
flex. Yeah, it's sweet. So yeah, Bills look dominant. I am excited to see them play a real team. And,
Yeah, let's
we'll
see how that goes.
See how it goes. Yeah. All right, Commanders Bengals. Commanders
Wow.
come back, and
Wow.
Jaden looked good.
Wow.
McLaren looked good. All of my at least with McLaren, my early season prediction of him being awesome.
Well,
looked-
I think him being so patient is what's helping them both so well, because he only had 8 targets or 8 receptions coming into this game.
Yeah.
And he got about 4 or 5 in this last one, but they were big. That 55-yarder.
Yeah.
That was the first time ever in Jaden Daniels' college career. Like, he didn't even do this in college. He didn't throw a pass more than 50 yards.
Dang.
And he had a 55-yarder to McLaurin, and then that 31-yard or 27-yard touchdown, that was so cold.
yeah. Oh man.
That was beautiful. Like, Daniels, I said it before in the draft that he's going to be the best quarterback out of this draft class, and he's proving it. He has 0 turnovers through.
He looks good.
the first 3.
There were still runs where he did not slide.
No,
So
you're right.
He might
He's
be
still-
short-lived for this world.
Yep. I hope not. But
I
yeah,
don't want that for him. If I was a coach, I would just be
you got to
like,
slide.
You just have to, and I don't know if it's you waterboard him. Like, I don't
Right.
know how you torture this into him, but you almost want him to physically, when he is running and sees a defender, to be somehow like just
Ankles
instinctually
first.
get down. I mean, and that's Kyler's best thing. He baseball slides and it rules.
Yeah, it's
Kyler
great.
goes like 10 yards when he's sliding. It's awesome. Because he's just like it. He's like, I've been sliding my whole life. I know.
Yeah,
how to do that.
I
I'm
know
not
what to
gonna
do.
put my shoulder down. I'm not a lunatic. Like,
I'm also 5'1".
yeah, he's tiny. All right, so very quickly, as we wrap this up, we were going to rapid fire go through the games this next week and predict them. And then next week, we will we'll have a little bit more time. I'm a little crazy this week, unfortunately, but but we'll recap through this. We'll see what was right, what was wrong. I'm sure we'll disagree on some stuff. So let's start here. Cowboys, Giants. Who do you have winning?
Giants.
Do you?
I do. Giants. I knew we were going to disagree right off the rip.
I got them boys. Yeah.
Giants, baby.
I got them boys.
Neighbors.
So, yeah. I mean, to me, CD. I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna take the Cowboys. All right. Sunday 11. Bengals at Panthers.
Bengals.
Yeah, Bengals all day.
Joe Burr.
Joey Bag of Donuts. Saints Falcons. Great game. So
Falcons,
Saints at
baby.
Atlanta.
Falcons. I gotta ride it.
I'm going Saints. Saints
think?
comeback tour. Yeah, it's gonna be Derek Carr. Like, last week sucked. He's gonna put the work in and shred them. Jags Texans, which before the season started was
Would've
probably
been-
gonna be a huge game.
Yeah.
Terrible game.
Texans.
Yeah, I'm taking Texans. Broncos Jets.
At MetLife.
Yeah, Broncos at MetLife.
I know Aaron Rodgers is going to eat us apart, but I'm going to go with the Broncos.
I am with you on the Broncos. I think clearly traveling doesn't scare them. They
Yeah.
dominated, and they were.
Yeah.
I like it. All right, how about Vikings Packers?
Don't be mad at me, but Vikings.
Vikings at Packers.
Vikings. Without Jordan Love.
I mean, but Malik Neighbors.
I know.
No, I'm going Packers. I've got to go. I mean, I'm going to choose them through
Regardless.
thick and thin. Yeah, you just be ready for that. But no, I like the matchup a little more. I think that secondary is the real deal this year for Green Bay. And I think that, Darnold's going to get tested, but he might have Addison back, and that's scary
We'll see,
too.
yeah.
All right, Steelers at Colts.
I think the Colts will get it.
I'm with you. I like the Colts. Steelers are
Yeah.
the least impressive,
Exactly.
winning team right
Yeah.
now, I feel like. But, I mean, good recipe for stuff, but yeah. Rams at Bears. I'm going Rams.
Rams, yeah.
Going Rams all day. I'm going to probably pick against the Bears a lot.
Eagles, Bucks.
I'm going Bucks.
I was going to say the same
Bucks
thing.
all
Bucks at
day.
home.
Yeah.
They got to come back from
Yeah.
that awful performance.
Redeem week for sure. Patriots at 49ers. I'm going 49ers.
I want to say the Patriots.
They
but
look
yeah,
so
the
bad.
Niners.
They
The
look so bad.
Niners.
I mean, and I don't know, is Debo out for extended period
Yeah,
of
I
time?
think he's
Okay,
out.
so dang. And Kittle too? Is Kittle out?
I think so,
Just
yeah.
have nobody. It's
Nobody.
just Ayuk doing nothing.
He's
running
literally
routes.
just running away from the bank.
Yeah, running routes with his money in his pocket. All right, let's go. Commanders at Cardinals.
I think the Commanders take it.
I'm
They
going
just went in.
Cardinals.
They just went in to Cincy and what? Right? It was in Cincy.
last week. That
yeah.
wasn't since. Oh,
It
was,
wasn't
was.
Cincy. They came into Cincy on a primetime game and took it.
All due respect, I don't think the Bengals are that good. So
I have to ride the Joe
I know,
Burrow train
I
because I
know.
just traded for him.
and I mean,
And my hair.
stole his iconic look. So I mean, yeah, I don't know. I like Cardinals.
I'm with the Commanders, baby.
I like it. I like it when we disagree. Chiefs, Chargers.
Chiefs.
This is where I'm gonna go crazy. Chargers.
Really?
I
That's
think
gross. I think
that-
they're gonna eat.
I think Herbert's gonna come in. I feel like the Chiefs haven't looked good.
Yeah,
at
they
all.
haven't looked
They've
the
looked
greatest.
bad. They've like Mahomes has thrown bad throws. Like it
Yeah,
has
and
been
did you see
bad
him almost
throws.
hurt himself?
Yeah.
When he did those knees.
Yeah,
Like
It's
you gotta
crazy.
be careful.
yeah. I could not be less impressed with that team that I thought had so many weapons. I thought they were
Yeah.
going to be winning like Buffalo was winning, and they're not.
They're not.
And Buffalo has no weapons, or so I thought. And so it's
They're popping
this.
off.
I feel like this season is drunk. Right?
Isn't
now.
it? It
Like-
really
like,
is. What is going on
Yeah,
here?
slow down. This is too wild. It's yeah. Browns Raiders.
Browns. I hate the Raiders. I can never vote for the Raiders.
I'm gonna go Browns too. I feel like Browns will take them. And it was Browns at Raiders, so they're playing in Vegas.
Yeah.
So as long as they don't get that Vegas flu,
Yeah.
they'll be all right. Bills at Ravens.
I think this is where the Bills lose. The Ravens.
I'm with you. I think it's gonna be the Ravens. I think the Ravens are.
Show them what a team really is.
So in the same way that there have been good winning teams that I feel like have underperformed, I feel like the Ravens have been a losing team that I thought looked good.
Yeah,
And
they have
so-
looked good. They just get put in awful situations.
Yeah. And a lot of it is self-imposed, and
Yes.
they got to figure out what's going on. But But yeah. Ooh, boring game alert. Monday Night Football next week. I'm glad they're doing 2 games because Titans Dolphins.
I know. I saw that. I'm like, you guys know that's supposed to be a primetime game, right?
Yeah, right.
Like, what the
Could
hell?
you move them to 11?
Yeah, literally. What game would we rather see on Monday night?
Yeah.
Definitely not a Titans Dolphins game.
Yeah. But I mean, I have the Dolphins winning.
I think I agree.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to disagree. I want mayonnaise coffee to win.
I think it's
he'll
going to
do
be
it.
check down to Achan and just watch him work.
You
Screen
know what?
pass to
They have
Tyreek.
too good of a run defense for that to happen.
Surprisingly, you're right. They do. You're right.
I think Tennessee wins that game.
A lot of screen passes to Achan, please. Because that quarterback's awful. Their
Awful.
backup is terrible.
Skylar Thompson and then whoever was behind that.
The fact that they were like, we like what we've got.
That's what
it's
I
like,
thought too. I was like, I could not
what?
believe that. I'm like, what's wrong with you guys?
You're telling me Tannehill wouldn't be better than this?
Who?
Like,
I
get
mean,
outta
they should have
here.
went and got Joe Flacco in reality.
But Flacco's on a team. That's what
But they should have
gone.
gone before.
Oh,
They
well,
should have picked him up.
I think if you have Tua, you need to have a great
yeah.
backup in the chamber. You need Jarrett Stidham in the chamber, honestly, or someone like
Yeah.
that. A
Bryce Young?
a Darnold, a Gardner Minshew, one of those guys that Darnold. Both of those guys are starters now, or they were at the beginning of last week. But you just need Tua's gonna get hurt. Like,
Yeah,
when
he
you
is.
know for a fact someone's gonna get hurt, and then you're just like, nah, who cares about backup QB? It's a wild gamble.
That is a wild gamble.
It's like no, but he took judo classes. He knows how to roll now.
He
It's
can't.
like,
Oh,
all right,
okay. And look at he just rolled
Yeah,
into a hit.
threw his head at that guy.
Yeah, he threw it.
so I
He
don't
threw
know,
his concussed,
Oh,
multiply concussed
no.
head into Damar Hamlin's
chest.
soft,
Into his heart.
beating heart
Yeah,
chest.
That's true. That was brutal. All right, Seahawks Lions. I have the Lions.
Lions,
Yeah,
for sure. I think, even though Gino's been hot, I think the Lions are starting to get it together.
Lions have the best defense that the Seahawks have played, and they'll have an offense that can stay on the field without
Yeah.
Laporta, of course. And so I think it'll be Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra show.
Oh yeah,
And so that's it for this week. Unfortunately, we had to make it a little shorter than normal, but I feel like we still covered a lot, and yeah, so we look forward to seeing how we did next week, and we will see you next week.
yeah. See ya.
All right.